Welcome into In the Doghouse with Tim and Scott, presented by the law offices of Gary Martin Hayes and Associates. My name's Tim Cicciarelli from My Country 99.3 WCON, joined by the Hall of Fame voice of the Georgia Bulldogs, Scott Howard, and of course, the sponsor of our podcast and an old radio friend from many years ago, Gary Martin Hayes, joining us. How we doing, gentlemen? Getting ready for a big SEC matchup between the Dogs and the Gators.
Got a big hoedown in Jacksonville.
Is that what they changed it to now? It's not the world's largest cocktail party. It's the hoedown in Jacksonville.
Yes, it's much softer. It's much easier on a lot of people. There's fewer headaches. There's fewer arrests.
I doubt that.
It's just a hoedown.
We got some moonshine in the corner back there. So.
Yeah, Scott, those are some great moves, man.
Thank you.
And don't you know all the DUI lawyers and criminal defense lawyers down in Georgia are sad that they changed it from the world's largest cocktail party to a hoedown?
Okay, so, I'm a little late to the party here, I suppose. I had no idea that they changed the way they branded that weekend. How long ago did that change take place?
I don't know if there's an official change or not. I mean, most of the diehards and people that have been going for a long time, that's how they still refer to it.
What it is to me.
I think what happened is from a TV standpoint and from a broadcast standpoint and just the publication of it, that was a request not to use that moniker anymore. I don't know if it's anything official, and people still use it, and people are going to use it because you tell them don't, so they're going to.
It's been a while because my son graduated from Georgia in 2024, and he was there for 4 years, and I would always refer to it as such, and he would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, really? You've never heard that? But not that he ever partook in anything like that while he was down there. He was down there as a fan with his Diet Coke in his hand, just cheering on the Dogs. Well, it's a neutral site. That is probably one of the reasons, I would guess, why it used to be such a party atmosphere a couple of days before. I don't know. But the Georgia Bulldogs and the Florida Gators, that has been going on for, I think over 100 years, Scott. What's the history on this? I know there's some debate on the rivalry in terms of which team has the most wins or when it started. What's your knowledge of this rivalry?
I don't know.
He's like, I've only been there for 100 years or whatever it is.
This will be let me do some quick math, the 104th meeting, I think. Dang, I was
according
up in
to
there,
Georgia, because Florida has to do.
Back up. Georgia leads the series 57-44-2. There were been a couple of ties. They've been playing in Jacksonville since like 1933, with the exception of those 2 years in the 90s when they were doing construction on the stadium, kind of like what is coming up now. Right. So we went home and home in 94, 95. Outside of that, since pre-World War II, it's been played in Jacksonville. But the series started before that in the days when they were still playing with a sack of potatoes and no face masks and, hey, do you want to wear a helmet today? Nah, I'm good. All that kind of stuff. We only got 3 guys. That's okay. We'll count it.
Yeah. So you mentioned a minute ago that we're about to go back to home and home again because they're about to do some things in Jacksonville. When is that starting? In 2020?
Well, we won't go home and home, but since they're doing construction on the stadium in Jacksonville, this game will be played in Atlanta next year at Mercedes-Benz. And then in what's next year, 26 and 27, not 6-7, but 27, will be played in Tampa.
Oh,
and then in 28, it goes back to Jacksonville with the newly renovated home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
How many? Gosh, man! So how many? They used to be the Gator Bowl, then Alltel Stadium, and of course it changed depending upon whatever corporation was sponsoring the Jaguars. I guess between
it's been a few things since the old Gator Bowl.
Yeah, it's the Everbank Stadium now.
Is that what they're calling it? It's Everbank, and then who knows what it'll be next year. But wow, that'll be big in Atlanta in 2026. Of course, we're talking about the traditions around it. The traveling to and from the neutral site. It's a wonderful environment. I haven't been in many years, but I love how the stadium is kind of split in half. One side red, the other side blue. Scott, you've been going for decades. Did you ever go as a student?
Yes, actually, the first Georgia-Florida game I ever attended was my freshman year at Georgia.
1980?
And that was 1980.
Stop it.
Yeah.
So you were there for the Baloo to Scott play.
That was, so you can't top that one. But I've been going ever since 1980. There's a small window of games I didn't go just for work reasons. And when I started working in radio, I wasn't traveling. I was in the studio doing stuff, but
that must have broken your heart to not.
It
go
did.
there.
It was. I was like, oh man, it broke my streak.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of fans on both sides that have been just, oh, this is my 57th. This is my 60th. It goes way back, and
yeah, it's an event. It is more than just a rivalry in a football game, and the fact that it's at a neutral site, even though it's really close to Gainesville.
Yeah, like 90-minute drive.
Exactly. But let's go back to what you said. So you were there for that famous Baloo to Scott run Lindsey played. Walk us through what you remember, and where were you sitting, and what was that like in the stadium? Must have been mayhem to be there. Of course, we've only seen the film, which was what? How many years ago? Jeez, 40 plus years
45.
ago.
45, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So they're probably going to do something to celebrate that being the 45th anniversary. But you're a student, you're a freshman. Welcome to it. What was that like?
I looked just like this 45 years ago, too, by the way.
You haven't aged a bit, Scott.
Okay, I remember, let's see, I sat in the south stands. That's, I think, on the river side of the
He was running towards you.
What's that?
So he was running towards you, if I'm remembering that correctly?
Yes. So, and I was with a couple of friends. We, were fortunate enough to get tickets. Now, the lodging for that, that was a little different back then. I remember we were trying to scramble to find a hotel, and we ended up at what was the name of that hotel? Oh,
the
my
No-Tail
goodness.
Motel?
It was, and I can tell you the price of it, and they had doubled the price for this weekend.
Of course.
And we were outraged.
Oh, gosh, here we go.
The price of the room that was doubled was $60.
We'll leave the light on for you.
So, yeah, it was, Scottish Inn, maybe? Does that sound right? Y'all remember that franchise?
I don't.
Now, was that by the hour or the night?
What's that?
Was that by the hour or the night?
Yes. So it was $30 regularly, and then for this weekend, Georgia Florida weekend, it was it's $60, and we had, I don't know, we had 5 or 6 guys, and we had 2 beds and plenty of floor space, so we all crammed in down there. It's college.
Yeah. Who
And
cares?
I was new to that, so I was like, I was used to traveling with my parents.
Not at the Scottish Inn.
On vacation. No, not in Scottish Inn. But for this game, we was like, oh, you got any money? I'm getting all the change out. Okay, I can contribute this. And
checking the
so
cards.
anyway, we were able to get a hotel room at the Scottish Inn on Phillips Highway in Jacksonville.
I know Phillips Highway. Yeah.
And it was not in a great section of town either. But we didn't care. We just wanted to go to the game. We wanted to be a part of that. And so in 1980 we did, and our seats were in the south stands. I guess it was the south. I just remember Lindsey running towards me, and I had taken. I wanted to watch the game on television. So I had at the time the technology in 1980. It was big. I don't have.
I've seen them. Yeah.
I had a television, had a big handle on it, and they actually let me in the stadium with it. But it was, I don't know, the TV was about that, like that, and had this huge battery pack with it, and a big handle, and the screen was the screen was like this. I mean,
Our phone.
the machine was huge, but
Big.
the screen, yeah, the screen was like your phone, and it was just black and white. But I was able to pick up the local Jacksonville affiliate. I think the game was on ABC that year, and I believe Al Michaels actually called the game on television.
Didn't know because we always hear the
1980.
Munson call. I've never heard Al Michaels call.
I think it was Al Michaels calling that game on ABC.
Wow.
You have to look it up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember, we were at the end of the game. We were all sad because Georgia was down on the far end of the field from where we were sitting. And I vividly remember I had the TV down, but on the down between my feet, under my seat, and I was just, had my head down, was just looking at the screen because I was like, man, this stinks. We're losing. We're going to lose the game. And then that play happened, and I'm watching the screen, and I see it start to develop, and then I look up, and I'm at the game, and I'm watching the little black and white screen like an idiot, and we just went nuts because by the time I looked up, Lindsey was over the 50-yard line and running straight towards the end zone where we were sitting, and it was bedlam after that.
Welcome to Georgia, Scott Howard, 1980. Bar set really high with.
I said, I'm doing this every year. I'm never not coming here.
Yeah, who was coaching the Gators back then? Do you remember?
Was it Charlie Pell? Maybe.
I was going to say.
I think it was Charlie Pell.
Yeah.
Man, my history is slipping away from me today. But Vince Dooley on our side.
Yeah.
And of course, that set up everything for the national championship. And that play, I don't know, would you say it's no question one of the top 5 plays in Georgia Bulldog football history? I mean, but I can't think of. I mean, there are many others that fit within that top 10, but that's the one that. When you become a Georgia fan or grow up a Georgia fan, that's the one that we remember. And a lot of it, aside from winning the ball game and then setting up the national championship, but Munson's call, those that heard it and we're reminded of it every single year. And I wish we could play it, but that is kind of how you become a dog fan. That's how you're introduced. This play, at least it was for me.
Yeah, no, it still is. I mean, it's iconic. Certainly, that's the one. If you ask anybody, just about of any age, I mean, even young people now, have been schooled on that play, and even though, like we said, 45 years ago, I mean, but my son is aware of that play, and he's 19, and he's a freshman at Georgia.
He's a freshman. Is he going to the Georgia-Florida game?
He is, as a matter of fact.
Awesome.
Yes,
Is he staying
my
at the
family's
Scottish
going with
Inn?
me this weekend, so.
I'm sorry. Is he staying at the Scottish Inn?
He's staying at Scott's Inn.
On the floor, kiddo. Yeah.
That's got me thinking now. That's going to bug me until I become crystal clear that was the name of that hotel, because I used to make a joke about that place all the time. And it was kind of a dive, but we didn't care. We didn't care.
Who cares? You're in college. You're a freshman in college. You're down for the experience because it's more than just going to the football game, as you know. And was it that way in 1980? Was it the world's largest cocktail party back then? I mean, it was. I mean, from the depictions I've heard from other folks that have been down there, even in the 70s, it was that way. And fun.
Yeah,
and when I say that way, I'm talking about all of the activities outside the stadium, the tailgating that goes on. What used to be the Landing and Amelia Island, St. Simon's, all of that. It just the sprawl of the partying begins in Athens and Gainesville, and kind of the epicenter is right there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and for those reasons that you just mentioned, those are the reasons why that game doesn't move.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a faction of people on both sides that want to go home and home with it. City of Jacksonville does not want that.
Of course,
I mean,
not.
this is an economic boom for the city of Jacksonville. I believe it's their biggest event on the calendar, and it might be even bigger than the Super Bowl that they had.
Wow.
Way back when, and they've only had the one Super Bowl in Jacksonville, but I think this Georgia-Florida weekend, I think economically is bigger than even that was.
Remember, Scott, when I left the old radio station the first time, I went to Jacksonville for 1 year, and I was there for that Georgia Florida game. And living and working in Jacksonville at that time, they start planning that thing and talking about it long ahead of the actual event, and the excitement and how it builds up. And it is just something I'll never forget, and would love to participate in again, but quite differently now than I used to. We used to go down and hang out at the team hotel in the bar, but in the morning before the bar was open. That's where we did our show, if you remember.
Yeah, I do remember.
And we had some incredible guests on our show back then. I mean, we had Coach Vince Dooley and his lovely wife, Barbara Dooley, and Munson and Dick Payne. And that was always colorful when Munson and his spotter and longtime friend Dick Payne would come in, and we would basically almost just sit back.
Yeah,
and let
listen to the stories. Yeah.
And listen to the stories of those two. And I've got all of that on tape somewhere. I've got to find it, and maybe we'll be, and that's ours and that's mine, so we can legally post that. So that would be fun, maybe in 2026. I don't know, but Sonny Seiler and Uga was there, and it was just, and then we had fans and listeners come in and sit around and watch the fun that we had for 2 days, the day before the game and the day of the game. We did that for several years down there, and that was a lot of fun. Felt badly for you because you had to get up early, come do that, and then go do the game later. So as a broadcaster, you mentioned, in 1980 as a student and a fan, before you became the Hall of Fame voice of the Georgia Bulldogs, Scott Howard. What are some of the other Georgia, Florida memories that you remember from up in the booth? Maybe not necessarily certain plays, but memories up there with Larry or after Larry left. And for you, what do you remember most about this rivalry from up there?
Everything's just blacked out. I got no memories. I mean,
they call it the world's largest cocktail party for a reason, right, Scott?
That was wiped years ago. Probably, the number one memory that I have was from the first year that I was on the broadcast team in 1993. And it was, the weather for this game was horrible. It was raining heavily, and had been for a pretty good while leading up to the game. I just remember the parking lots around the stadium were just, there's a lot of grass parking lots, a lot of dirt areas, or there used to be. That area is highly developed now, a lot more pavement, but there was a lot of mud. There were a lot of cars stuck in the mud. There were a lot of campers stuck in the mud. And that game was kind of like that. It was Zaire was our quarterback, and it was just a great shootout that Florida eventually won. But the game was in the mud and the rain, and I always loved that stuff. When I was in high school, those were my favorite games to play. When you were in the mud and the rain, you just cut loose.
Yeah.
You just cut loose and had a blast. And you're filthy and you're sliding all over the place, and water's splashing up everywhere every time you take a step, and that's kind of the way this game was. It was just, the weather was just awful, but Zaire was so good. And Shannon Mitchell, our tight end, I think he caught 15 passes in that game that day. And then we were on the verge of possibly, Georgia wasn't very good in '93. We were pretty mediocre, and Florida was a much better team. But
much of the '90s, it was that way, if I remember correctly.
They were. They wwon national championships in the '90s, or a national championship under Spurrier, and they had a long winning streak against us in the series, and '93 was part of that. They ended up winning the game, but there was a play late in the game when we were trying to tie, and Zaire had thrown a touchdown pass. And I think we needed a 2-point conversion to tie the game, and it was late in the game. But Florida was calling a timeout like right around the snap of the ball, and there was always that controversy: did they get the timeout or not? And and the play went on, and then after the play, the officials got together and they stopped and they said, no, Florida called a timeout. So the play was wiped off, and then we ended up not winning the game or not able to tie the game. So there's always that hanging over, but just that game and the performances of some of our guys was just, it just made an impression on me, and that was my first year working that game on the Bulldogs network with Munson and everybody else. But I think it was probably the weather more than anything else. I was just amazed that these two teams could still perform like that in that kind of sloppy track that we played on.
So were they calling a timeout or were they clapping?
A little bit of both, I think.
Okay.
We're both probably in that scenario.
Yeah, they were even doing that back then. 30-something years ago, they were doing that.
Well,
Yay, go team.
The 90s and how it was rough for us, and that was when I really became a Georgia fan and was working for the radio station that was carrying the games, and so for me, I have aside from the morning show broadcast we did leading up to the games for those several years, but I have two really great memories of Georgia, Florida, and one of them was, you remember when Bill Goldberg ran the team out on the field, because Bill Goldberg he played for Georgia, of course, in the NFL, and of course now a wrestling icon. But he was friends of my next door neighbor, so we got to know Bill, and he did some stuff for us with Toys for Tots at the Georgia Square Mall, and then I was down there on the field this year that we were able to get passes. And my other morning show partner, Christine, you remember, we were on the sidelines, and Goldberg was right there and led the team out, and he just came right. It was awesome, and we hung out on the sidelines for I think the first quarter, and I actually got my hand on a ball that was thrown by the sideline. So there's my little big Georgia, Florida moment. And then the other, as a fan, was in 1997 when we won, when we beat them finally.
Yeah, we broke.
Robert Edwards had, I don't know, 3 or 4 touchdowns. It was an incredible performance. So that to me was mayhem. It was wonderful for us my first, I think, Georgia, Florida victory. And we were underdogs too, I think, back in the day. But that was back then. And then Robert Edwards went on to gosh, didn't he hurt himself badly in the NFL during a Pro Bowl sand flag football game or something. How stupid was that, by the way? I'm sorry. I always thought that was ridiculous. Whatever happened with Robert Edwards' career following that injury during the Pro Bowl exhibition, silly sand beach flag football?
Yeah, well, that really damaged his knee, and it was kind of the end of his NFL career. Robert is right now a high school football coach in the state, and just this past weekend was one of the inductees into the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame.
Incredible. Awesome.
Yeah, so he's doing well. His brother Terrence is doing well. Terrence was a great Bulldog as well.
Indeed.
And Robert had that big game in '97. Yeah, and that was the only time we beat Spurrier in the time that he was the head coach at Florida. It broke that losing skid that we had, although they started one the next year again. That went almost as long. I think we lost like 13 out of 14.
It's brutal.
In one stretch there. So it was there were a lot of sad faces for Bulldog fans during those years.
I know it's a 3:30 kickoff on ABC. Have they always played the games, Scott, in the afternoon? I don't guess with it being a cocktail party, they wanted to kick off at night, because you can imagine how inebriated the people would be.
I think, and I may be wrong on this, but I used to hear this all the time when CBS had the game. CBS broadcast the game for years and years, after they had the SEC contract. That was written into the contract that it would be, and that was the agreement from both schools. That's the time slot that they wanted. So it was always the marquee game on that weekend, and it was always the 3:30 time slot.
Didn't matter who was ranked what right? It's because of the rivalry.
Yeah, so when the schedule always came out, it's like, what, have the kickoff times for the games been released? And it's like, well, no, everything but one. There was always one that you always knew, and it was always Georgia, Florida, and it was always at 3:30. And that didn't change when the contract flipped over to ABC and ESPN, and who currently has the broadcast rights for SEC, but
which is weird to me.
That's the best time slot for this game.
Agreed.
What you said, Gary. You don't want that thing being a 7:30, 7:45 kick. We've seen what that turns into on local campuses.
Indeed.
We've seen that in Baton Rouge.
Yes, Baton Rouge. Tuscaloosa, Athens. We've all played those games at night, Well, we had one with Alabama and Athens
Alabama.
earlier this year, and
Yeah.
people don't get home until 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning the next day.
When I was stuck in the parking garage for 3 hours following that game because
There's a
we
lot
couldn't
of
get out
that,
because
yeah.
of all of the activity. It wasn't just the jam-packed parking garage. It was all the activity in downtown Athens, the people hanging out and doing what they do following a game. And so it'll probably remain 3:30 for quite some time, I would guess. So we've spent a good amount of time talking about the history, and we've barely probably scratched the surface of the history of this rivalry. But why don't we shift gears and talk about what we have coming up this Saturday? And before we do, Gary, as our sponsor of the podcast, good friend, and our personal injury attorney, why don't you, before you tell us the injury report and what's going on with the Dogs and the Gators, please remind our friends listening or watching on YouTube what you do for them and how you've served our community and the state of Georgia for the last almost, 40 years now? I guess?
Yeah. I've been doing a long time for it. Gosh, the last 36 years. All I've done is help injured victims and their families when they've been involved in tractor trailer wrecks, car wrecks. We help them put their life back together by taking on the insurance company and their lawyers. So something that I've enjoyed helping people for a very long time. Again, right here in Georgia, we've recovered more than $1 billion right here in Georgia.
And you said, how you take on the insurance companies. You worked for the insurance companies once upon a time, so you know how they operate. You know their playbook.
I do have their playbook, and they know that. So thankfully, we don't have to cut through a lot of the mess other lawyers have to deal with.
Fantastic. So it's perfect for you to provide our injury report. So what are we worried about this week? Who's not going to be playing down there on a neutral side in Jacksonville?
Yeah, and one quick reminder, the teams don't have to announce an injury report unless they're playing in the SEC. And so since this is an SEC game, the first report has to be out Wednesday evening by 8 o'clock. But this is what we know right now. And this is a big one. Senior wide receiver Colby Young, he suffered that broken leg on Georgia's opening drive against Ole Miss. He's out. Wide receiver Taylon Taylor's out because of upper body surgery. Freshman tight end Ethan Barber is out for the foreseeable future because of an ankle injury that required surgery. Thomas Blackshear, wide receiver, has a groin injury. Though starting safety, Kyron Jones, he had a foot injury, and he may return sooner than expected. So they need him. Georgia's been giving up, on average, 222 passing yards per game. And Monroe Freeling, offensive lineman, he's listed right now as questionable. Again, that may change on Wednesday.
All right, so that's what we're looking at as we approach this Saturday's ball game, and so let's now look to what's happening on the sidelines with the Gators. So they've yet to find their head football coach, and does it look like they're going to just have their interim coach for the rest of the season? What do we know about that? I know the search continues for them.
Well, Billy Gonzalez is the interim coach. He's their wide receiver coach, so he's got the duty this week, and I would imagine that will be in place for the rest of the year. As they continue the search for a head coach. Now, that could pop up at any time, but if they find a successor to Billy Napier, then I seriously doubt they would. He's whoever that is more than likely not going to start coaching from the sidelines. So this is kind of their situation for the rest of the year. While they do look, but there's a lot of competition for coaches right now because there's a lot of job openings, which is extremely strange for college football. We haven't seen really anything like all of these in-season firings that we've had a glut of this year. But that's the way the game is changing. There's a lot of reasons for that, and that's the decision of those schools to try to find the right guy to get them to the top. It's all about getting to the playoffs now. It's all about the money that you can make and getting to the playoffs, and that's what every team wants to do. And right now there's only 12 spots for that. There's probably going to be more pretty soon. There might be as many as 16 a couple of years down the road, but right now there's only 12, and those are valuable commodities for every college football team.
Well, you bring up a good point. So I've heard a lot of talk here in the last few weeks about how some, or I should say many, Georgia fans actually don't even want Georgia to play in the SEC championship for that reason. What are you hearing about this? What do you think about this? Because, why would we want to play another game and risk injury for that SEC championship when our goal is to get into that, one of those those 12 slots playing a team that's not of our caliber to move up quickly. What are your thoughts on that? That's for an old school person, it's tough to say we don't want to get in the SEC championship. I'm talking about myself. From
it's
a numbers standpoint, it might make sense.
It's like in the Alabama-South Carolina game the other day when South Carolina let Jeremy Bernard score. I mean, that just seems so bizarre to me. We got to let him score so we can get the ball back.
Yeah.
And because it was a time management thing, and that was always so strange to me. It's like, what do you mean let him score? That goes against the
everything.
Whole concept of the game.
And they hadn't seen Bama's field goal kicker. If they knew better, they would have made us at least kick the field goal. It's like, what are you guys thinking? I agree.
But and so the championship discussion is kind of like that. I don't think you hear that from the players or the coaches. I mean, they know what their mission is and what their goals are. But there is that argument. It's like, if we can still get in the playoff, and I'm talking from just a general standpoint here, but if a team can still get in the playoff without having to go to its conference championship game, I mean, that's one less game you have to play. Yeah. You lessen the risk, obviously, of falling out of the playoff picture if you lose that championship game, which happened to Georgia a couple of years ago. We had a great season. We lost to Alabama in the SEC championship game, a 3-point loss. That was the Dogs' only loss of the year at that point. And they ended up out of the 4-team playoff and had to go to the Orange Bowl, where they destroyed Florida State, who's, they didn't get in either because for whatever reason. And their team, everybody jumped in the portal, and they didn't have much of a roster by the time we got to Miami for the Orange Bowl. And Georgia just decimated them on the field, embarrassed them. But that was an argument for Georgia. It's like that team was good enough to be in the playoffs this year. Sure. But we lost the conference championship game. So there's always going to be that argument, I think, as long as you can still fulfill the mission of getting to the playoffs. Hey, if we don't have to play in that game, we'll give up a possible SEC championship for a shot at winning the national championship.
Of course.
So that's the thinking of a lot of people.
But that's the new thinking, and it makes sense. You look at it on paper, that makes sense. But as a fan or old school, that's a very hard concept to come to grips with. But yes. It does. For me, it is because I want to win the SEC. I want to get in there. I want to win that. I want to hang that banner up, and then I also want to hang the natty up as well too. But I want my cake and eat it too. All right, but now with this new format, I mean, it just we got to play it smart, right? So I mean, it's not that we're going to lose anything on purpose or have that situation we had the other day.
And Georgia's going to be favored in all the remaining games. I mean, you got Mississippi State, Texas, Charlotte, Georgia Tech. There's going to be a tough one. If perchance Georgia does drop one, you want to get in the SEC championship, I think, to play, because that certainly boosts your.
Then that'll help
your standing.
Our case.
So I think even with 2 losses, Georgia's going to be in.
Yeah,
in the playoff, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
with it being 12. And that is, it makes it fun still to, even though we have some lesser competition coming up. I don't know, Georgia Tech's a little scary, but only because we see what they're doing. But for me, it's just a hard argument to align with that we don't want to play in the SEC championship. It just goes against everything.
And the competitor. The viewpoint from here is, you just take care of yourself. You take care of your business, and whatever happens, happens. I mean, you don't really have any control over that. All you have control over is how you perform, how you do. And Georgia has 3 conference games remaining. And that will determine who gets into the SEC championship. The Charlotte and the Georgia Tech game
don't matter.
While they have an effect on the national picture, they won't have an effect on Georgia and their possibility to play in Atlanta for the conference championship. So it's the Florida game this week, and then it's at Mississippi State, and then it's home with Texas, and then that's it for all our conference games this year. And then we close out with the 2 non-conference, which won't have an effect on our conference possibilities to play in the title game there.
All right, so that's how we're looking for the rest of this year. But let's get through this Saturday first. Now, it's not going to be a cakewalk. I mean, on paper it probably is. But yeah, from the presser the other day with Kirby Smart, what'd he have to say about how they're preparing and what we can look forward to on Saturday.
Well, just the usual stuff. I mean, they've been working. They had an off week last week, so there was some time taken to try to, heal a little bit. They kind of back off the workload a little bit. Kirby's not he's not gonna decrease the intensity in practice ever. I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how they get where they are because that's his philosophy. If you practice harder, you make the practices harder than the games, and then therefore the games are the fun part and the easier part of this whole process. In quotes, I say that.
Yeah.
But they've been prepping for the Gators, and it might look a little bit different. I mean, Florida since they fired Billy Napier, I mean that brings in the uncertain factor now from what you think you may know if you're the opposition. It's like, well, they're not going to change everything that they do, but they could have a few different wrinkles that we haven't seen. I mean, that's always a possibility. So, you try to prepare for that as best you can and in a short amount of time. And that's what Georgia's been doing. So they've been at work, last week after the Ole Miss win, which was a great victory for Georgia. And getting ready for what a lot of people used to call the biggest game on the schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. Gary, you were mentioning before we jumped on the podcast that they're at the law offices of Gary Martin Hayes and Associates. You've got some staff members that have questions for the Friends of Georgia Radio Hall of Famer, legendary voice of the Georgia Bulldogs, Scott Howard.
I do have a list of questions.
This can't be serious.
Oh yeah.
Coming from Gary.
I know. That's why I can't wait. Now I'm getting my popcorn and just sit here and see what you have to ask.
All right, get the edit button ready.
Yeah, well, some of these about the mechanics of what you do, Scott, on these away games. Do you travel with a team?
Not with football anymore. We did at one time, but the staff became so large when Kirby was hired. The number of staffers on the football in the football program kind of ballooned out a lot, and so our seats that were with the team became vacant for us. I mean, we
got booted. Let's say it like it is, Scott. You got booted out.
Yeah, radio got booted off.
So what'd you do?
But it's fine. I mean, we still work with Georgia for transportation. We can drive if we want, which I'm doing this weekend. I'm driving down on my own. Like I said earlier, we're taking some family.
Right.
So in that instance, I'm on my own. But traditionally, yeah, we'll travel as a group if we have a lot of flights for trips. I'm talking about the radio crew. But we'll fly commercial normally and one way and then come back maybe another way that gets us back that night after the game. Basketball, I do travel with the team. It's a much smaller travel party, and it's pretty good travel because we go in and out of Athens, and you don't have to go through TSA and all that stuff. So it's kind of nice for that.
And do you stay with the team, or do you stay at the Scottish Inn?
Again, I prefer the Scottish Inn and their $60 rate. Again, yes, we can normally under most circumstances. I am not this particular weekend. I have other lodging, but normally, yeah, we need a hotel we need a room at the team hotel. So yeah, they will book us that, and all the whole radio crew will stay there. So yeah, we're kind of embedded with that group under most circumstances. There is an occasional exception.
I remember stories back when we were down in Jacksonville doing the morning show from the hotel bar of the team hotel, and Munson and you talking about the radio crew would go out to dinner, wouldn't they? At least in Florida, I think, the night before the game together. Is that something that still happens?
We did that. Usually it was like Dick and Larry would normally get together because they had been doing it for so long. They knew all the restaurants, but that also became the problem in the 90s. It's like they were still taking us to restaurants from like the early 70s. It's like there's different places now, guys. We can try something different.
The one attached to the Scottish Inn is probably where they're a little. like a Stuckey's or something.
Yeah, we had a couple of pecan logs and some divinity.
I
That was
love
pretty good for
divinity. That's
dinner that
good
one
stuff.
time. That was only in Tennessee though. Um, so yeah, we used to kind of eat as a group the Friday night, and usually if you'd ask Larry, that was when he was getting up in years too a little bit. And Larry, where you want to go eat tonight? And he would, let's just eat in the hotel. So a lot of times we just went down to the lobby, and he wanted to get a table in the back of the hotel that wasn't along the front walkway if the restaurant was, in a busy area of the hotel, because, I mean, inevitably, dinner would be interrupted all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, there's Larry. So they'd want to come talk to him, and he just wanted to eat dinner and, and hang out with the rest of the radio crew and just chit chat and have a good time.
Gotcha.
But we don't do that as much anymore. It's kind of divided up. There is usually there's what they call an AD's dinner, the athletic director's dinner, and they invite a lot of people on the trip and a lot of the staff people. Radio is invited to that, and you sit around with a lot of the Georgia folks and you go to a decent restaurant on the trip, and that's usually on Friday nights.
Yeah.
So they also want to know what your favorite memory was of the Georgia-Florida game when you've been behind the microphone.
I don't know if it's my favorite memory, but it is a vivid memory. It's the Gator stomp in 2007. When we scored the first touchdown with Noshawn Marino. He dives over the goal line, gets the ball over the goal line in that pile. And Florida had the upper hand in that series for so long.
2007, is that about when that was, I believe?
Yes, and that was my first year doing play-by-play, because we did a split schedule that year. Larry did not do the road games.
Yeah.
So Zaire and I were on the road calling that game. That was our first game together in the Georgia-Florida series. And this is what happened. So it's, our first score of the game, first quarter, and there really hadn't been a leak as to what was going to happen that week leading up to this. But when we scored, the whole team ran off the bench from the far sideline. This was when Mark Richt was our coach. And the whole team ran off the sideline and into the end zone and celebrated as a team of, 70, 85 people, however many it was. And they're all dancing in the end zone. And everybody was just so caught off guard by the officials are throwing flags everywhere, and they're just dumbfounded. And we just scored a touchdown, and our whole team is in the end zone celebrating.
That was very uncharacteristic for a Coach Richt-led team. I remember thinking that back then, because he was very, I don't know, keep it between the lines, act like you've been there before. I've heard him say, finish the drill. And I love that because he directed that, if I'm not mistaken, and that's what lore says. That's what I remember. And is that true, that it was on his direction to get over there and celebrate? 'Cause that's not like him at all that I remember.
I don't know that the specifics of that. There was from what I understand, there was an order to do something, and I think his words were, if we don't get a penalty on what we choose to do here to celebrate, I'm going to be disappointed. So he kind of left it up to the team, I think, to figure out what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it, and that was the end result. Everybody just rushed the field.
It's even better
during the game.
Yeah.
And after the first score, and Georgia went on to win that game too, by the way.
Yeah.
But
that big momentum shift is what I looked at that. It was incredible.
That did not make Florida happy at all. Urban Meyer was their head coach, and
with Tebow quarterback.
They yes. And they stuck it to us the next 2 years after that.
But we enjoyed it while
they won national championships then at that time too. But so that's one of the first things I think of, because that was my first game as the play-by-play announcer for football in 2007. And I remember Aaron Murray and Malcolm Mitchell with a big late game touchdown. It was just a short pass into the left flat, and I don't know how many. I don't know. It's like a 45-yard run. Malcolm Mitchell just weaving his way, breaking tackles and running by Florida defenders, and cutting left and cutting right and into the end zone for what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown. Those are the two moments I remember the most. A lot of it just seems to run together, sadly, but those were two really big moments in the last couple of decades.
Here's the final question. Joe Tessitore and Jesse Palmer are going to be calling the game. So are you hoping to get a rose from Jesse Palmer?
Well, I am in Golden Bachelor territory, although I'm not a bachelor. And I'm not very golden either.
Yeah, so many people don't know.
You and the reflection that might come
Could
in.
be the shiny bachelor. They need a show like that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't
Chrome
know
Dome
that
Bachelor.
Jesse Palmer actually quarterbacked at Florida under.
Yeah, he's a
Gator.
Gator. He's a Gator. That always helps, isn't it? When you got one of the national broadcasters that, he won't have any favoritism.
But yeah.
Which is why you listen to us,
That's
on the
right.
radio.
Turn it down on the TV and up on your radio. And
if you're a dog fan, our broadcast is what you want to listen to because you're going to get a dog slant.
Yeah, and you'll get a dog slant. You'll get guys up there in the booth that know this team, that played for the team, that went to the school, that was at the game as a fan his freshman year for Beluda Scott. I mean, the seed was planted, and look what's come of it. 45 years later, Scott Howard calling the games and making memories for all of us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. I love talking about this rivalry. It's something that Georgia Bulldogs cherish their memories, like you said, Scott. People have been going to this game for 50 years, and even though we're ranked fifth, and Florida's I don't even think in the top 25 at all, but it doesn't matter. It's still Georgia, Florida. It's not good old fashioned hate like with this is just plain hate. Let's just call it. We just hate them. So it's gonna be
Hate
fun
with a lot of alcohol involved, right?
Probably, yeah. but thankfully, a 3:30 kick, not too much, I suppose. A lot of people recovering from that.
Everybody go easy. Take it easy. Have a good time. Enjoy the game. Behave yourself. All that stuff.
Drive home safely.
We want you back in Sanford Stadium. We want everybody safe and sound. Make it back home and get to the next one.
Use those ride-share apps. Please be careful. And let me echo what you said. You don't want to listen to the ABC broadcast. You want to listen to Scott because Jesse Palmer is from Canada and he'll be speaking Canadian. So he knows that.
And a Gator fan. I mean, two strikes against him already.
Will he say the 50? He will wonder where the 55-yard line is. He's Canadian. Why are the end zones so small?
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Gary Martin Hayes, the law office of Gary Martin Hayes, our sponsor, our good friend, 1-800-WIN-WIN-1. Thanks for being with us, buddy. And the voice of the Georgia Bulldogs, Scott Howard. Have a safe trip with your family down to Florida. Have a great call on Saturday, and we'll hopefully talk about a big victory in next week's episode. Thanks for being with us, guys.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks, guys, and so long, everybody.